The boxing world has been buzzing ahead of the blockbuster clash between Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia, especially after David Benavidez openly backed Munguia to win and took several shots at Canelo. Benavidez admitted he wanted Canelo to experience the same frustration he felt after waiting years for a fight that never happened, and he even mocked Canelo's training, warning that poor preparation could lead to defeat. Many understand Benavidez's frustration since fans have long wanted their showdown, but it still hasn't happened. Canelo has faced criticism ever since his 2022 loss to Dmitry Bivol, with some believing his recent unanimous decision wins over Gennady Golovkin, John Ryder, and Jermall Charlo should have included at least one knockout. Meanwhile, Munguia entered the fight undefeated with a perfect 43-0 record and extra confidence after stopping John Ryder, something Canelo failed to do. With Canelo holding a February 2nd 60 record, the matchup became a major test to prove he still ruled the super middleweight division as rising stars like Munguia, Benavidez, and David Morrell continued closing in. The Cinco de Mayo event featured Canelo defending the WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF super middleweight titles at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, along with an action-packed undercard including Brandon Figueroa vs. Jesse Magdaleno, Mario Barrios vs. Fabian Andres Maidana, and Imantas Stanionis vs. Gabriel Maestre. Although highly rated teenage prospect Kermel Moton was expected to appear, he was ultimately removed from the card. As Fight Night approached, Canelo pushed through intense training, knowing a loss could cost him every championship belt and possibly mark the end of his reign at the top. Despite years of success, he insisted his passion for boxing remained as strong as ever, while many fans hoped that whenever his career ended, it would be on his own terms as a respected champion rather than after a painful defeat. Even so, Benavidez continued adding fuel to the rivalry by laughing at Canelo's training sessions and predicting that he would struggle if he entered the ring looking anything less than his best. "He's doing this and Munguia feasts all night," he remarked. He added, "I understand why he's avoiding me. He'll only continue to evade if he keeps up this training regimen." Many fans felt David Benavidez was being unfairly critical of Canelo Alvarez. Even so, Benavidez advised Jaime Munguia to stay cautious and avoid Canelo's powerful attacks if he wanted a real chance to win. Munguia must maintain distance, he advised. He added engaging in close quarters plays to Canelo's strengths. His affinity for body shots is well known. Mia's strategy should center on peppering combinations and swiftly retreating. David Benavidez praised Jaime Munguia's strong defense and impressive punching power, believing both could create serious problems for Canelo Alvarez. While Benavidez spent years calling for a fight with Canelo, he now seems to have accepted that the matchup is unlikely for the time being and has turned his attention to new opportunities at light heavyweight. The Arizona native confirmed his next fight at 175 pounds against Ukrainian Oleksandr Gvozdyk in June after repeatedly missing out on a title clash with Canelo, even though he was named the WBC's mandatory challenger. Because Canelo never had to risk his belts to avoid the fight, the long-awaited showdown never came together. Reports also suggested negotiations became more difficult after Benavidez reportedly asked for a $150 million purse. On Canelo's side, he made it clear he had no interest in using a rehydration clause against Benavidez, explaining from his training camp near Lake Tahoe that such clauses only create excuses after the fight and benefit neither fighter. And then what they'll keep talking about the clause instead of focusing on the actual fight. When I beat him, they'll say it was because of the clause, not because of the fight itself. Canelo Alvarez believes that if he defeats David Benavidez, people will blame the result on weight restrictions, just like Ryan Garcia blamed his knockout loss to Gervonta Davis on the 136-pound catchweight and 10-pound rehydration clause. Canelo knows exactly how those clauses can affect a fighter because he experienced it himself in 2013 when he faced Floyd Mayweather Jr. Despite being the WBC and WBA junior middleweight champion, Canelo had to accept a 152-pound catchweight after Mayweather pushed for lower weight limits. On Fight Night, Canelo entered the ring much heavier than Mayweather but still suffered the first loss of his career. Because of that experience, Canelo says he has no interest in using rehydration clauses against Benavidez, believing they only create excuses after the fight. Meanwhile, Benavidez says he understands why Canelo has avoided facing him and, after failing to secure the long-awaited showdown, decided to move up to 175 pounds to challenge Oleksandr Gvozdyk for the interim WBC light heavyweight title. Speaking during the Jorge Masvidal vs. Nate Diaz press conference in Miami, Benavidez explained that his move was driven by the lack of opportunity to finally face the undisputed super middleweight champion. "I'm not sure what Canelo's intentions are. I was the top contender for a title shot waiting for 3 years. Since he didn't offer me the opportunity, one decided to make the move. Waiting became tiresome. The rivalry between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez has only grown stronger through constant verbal exchanges and ongoing speculation about a future fight. The debate intensified after Canelo mentioned the meeting between Dimitri Bivol and Gilberto "Zurdo" Ramirez, adding more fuel to the conversation. Throughout his career, Canelo has rarely faced fellow Mexican opponents, with notable fights against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Alfredo Angulo standing out among only a handful since winning his first world title in 2011. While fans continue calling for a showdown with Benavidez, the pressure isn't coming from David alone. His father has also publicly criticized Canelo and repeatedly urged him to accept the fight. As the boxing world waits to see what happens next, the anticipation remains as high as ever. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest boxing updates.